League level cannot play that ball consistently, he would be out of his job very soon. Yeah? That's how simple of a pass we're talking about. The first goal today, and Shaka mentioned it while we were doing the highlights, the run happens. And the player that has to complete this pass doesn't even have to split a line or split defenders. It's just a straight pass from here to there, and it's a 10-yard pass. That is a pass that you should be able to complete at 10 years old, consistently. If you are a high-level player, you should be able to complete that pass with your eyes closed. This is not even, I have to be creative in order to break this down. I don't have to be accurate with my pass in order to break this down. I just have to hit the ball into space 10 yards. I am confident, I am certain that everybody on this panel, everybody in the studio, and everybody who's with us, with Frank and Gab, can complete that pass. Everybody can complete that pass. Yeah. I said everybody in the studio. Hey, even my guy on the camera over there who's on his phone right now, he can complete that pass.
Abraman can, yep.
It's there is no pressure on the ball. The space is right in front of you. All you have to do is just put that ball there, and it happens consistently and regularly.
If I can jump on that, two things that I'm thinking about while Ali was talking. The fact that I was a former defender, and I knew every time the guy in front of me who had the ball, the opponent had the ball, and was looking away to know where to give the ball, I knew that I had to stop and make a little drop to make sure that there is no ball in the space. That's an automatic answer to him watching and knowing what he can do. You have to protect yourself. What I see from Barcelona, even if the guy looks like that, they go further. They go further up. That's absolutely insane. That's a real suicide. Now, having said that, I'm a defender. I'm Frank Leboeuf, lucky to play for Barcelona under Hansi Flick. How do I behave? I think I end up on the bench because I'm going to go to Hansi Flick and say, I'm sorry, I'm not playing the fool. I'm not playing like that. I'm not being ridiculous. So I'm sorry. Find me another club or put me on the bench because I don't want to play like that, because that doesn't serve me. Because you said you're insulting bad defending. You're insulting the players. The 4 players playing at the back, they are insulted by Hansi Flick tactic.
Here's the thing for me, right? We've spoken about Hansi Flick's high line all of last season and certainly to start this one. And the sentiment has always been you have to have pressure on the ball. If you want to play that high line, you have to have pressure on the ball because an average professional player can make that pass without there being pressure on the ball. But what you saw today, with that line being 5 yards away from the man in possession, even with pressure on the ball, because now the pass doesn't have to be measured. It doesn't have to thread the eye of a needle. All it has to be is forward. And somebody like Forbes running on with his pace is going to have an absolute field day. And in fact, Forbes, with his pace, had an absolute field day.
Let me ask you, who? Yeah, exactly. Carlos Forbes looked like he was a world beater. Like this guy, it's the second coming of every great player we've ever had in the history of mankind.
But to play the point being, even with pressure on the ball, even if Barcelona consistently got pressure on the passer, if you hold out a line that's 5 yards away from wherever that ball is, you are going to get exposed time and time again. So to have this high line, to not have pressure, I really do not understand what it is Hansi Flick is getting at, what he's trying to get out of this team. They are going to get hurt time and time again.
Does it hurt your soul to see defending like this?
Baresi would have done that.
No, I'll say this, right? Those who are old enough, they remember Rigosaki's Milan. They played a crazy high line, but when they did that, sometimes, they didn't do it the whole game. When they did that, they had forwards, big, fast forwards, who would run themselves into the ground, putting pressure on the ball, as Shaka just said. Right now, this version of Barcelona has Marcus Rashford, who's not that, and Lamine Yamal, who's not fit. So, frankly, it becomes doubly difficult to do that. And the other minor difference is that Milan side had Baresi and Costa Curta and Filippo Galli and Maldini and Mauro Tassotti, Whereas these guys, tonight you had Araujo, who's a guy who, they've been trying to move and is clearly not suited at all to play this. Eric Garcia, who, is an afterthought. Cubarsí was on the bench. And to Frank's point about defenders standing up to the coach, none of these defenders are good. None of them have the authority other than perhaps Cubarsí, but then that guy's still a teenager. So, who's Cubarsí to stand up to Flick and say, hey, boss, should we go and do this a little bit different? I think there's a leadership issue there. And it goes back to what they decided to do over the summer. Oh, that little tiny amount of money that we have to spend, should we go and spend it on Marcus Rashford? Or should we go and spend it on finding a replacement for Inigo Martinez, who maybe wasn't super quick and maybe isn't the second coming, but I thought played very well for long stretches for Barcelona and could read the play and could be a defensive leader and mitigate some of that high line? No, they said, oh no, we're fine. Yeah, give me Christensen, he's always hurt. Give me Araujo, even though we don't like him. Give me Eric Garcia, even though he's a dud. And give me Cubarsí, even though he's 18. We'll be fine with these guys. That is the cardinal error. That goes beyond Flick. That's on Deco. That's on the club.
Inigo Martinez, in his absence, in going to Saudi Arabia, has now become a combination of all the players that Gab just mentioned from Milan.
Yes. He is.
Quite frankly, no player has elevated his status by not being somewhere as much as Inigo Martinez has been. A guy who wasn't even supposed to start last season, but now every time that something happens like this, which happens every single week with Barcelona, it goes back to, well, they're missing the leadership with Inigo Martinez. They may be missing that, but they're missing a whole lot more too. And that lack of pressure, and we've already gone around in circles, but the inability of this team to get numbers around the ball in order to affect the decision-making process of the player on the ball, if you're not getting close enough, that is where all alarm bells should go off, whether you're Franco Baresi, whether you're Pau Cubarsí, whether you're Costa Curta, whether you are Ronald Araujo. Somebody's got to take a step back. And they never do it.
Meanwhile,